This is Radar from the Entertainment Blog coming at you with another edition of Movie Reviewers Observations number 228. It's been a bit of time, but between Hanukkah, Christmas, and New Year's, it's a busy seasonal time. Lots of work. First movie I watched was the Bill Skarsgård movie called Boy Kills World. It's about, an hour and 40-something minutes. It's not too long. It has famous actors that you know from their faces, and it is also obviously has Famke Jensen in this movie. It has Brett Gelman in this movie, Michelle Dockery. So what it is some sort of like apocalyptic world where some woman takes it upon herself to be in charge and make it where she's the queen, and you got to listen and follow a rule, and her kids or her henchmen keep following it out even if something's wrong with her. And he, was apparently taken from his parents are killed by this one, and he's been trained by this Asian guy who's like the sensei, and he also doesn't really know how to talk. They use sign language, so he remembers a video game he played as a kid, and John H. Benjamin, from Bob's Burger and Archer, is the narrating and talking throughout the movie, but he also sees his dead sister too. So the movie was weird. It was a little bit strange and definitely odd. But in a post-apocalyptic action movie with tons of shooting, fighting, violence, and gore, it was entertaining and very interesting enough to watch. It definitely wasn't the best script in the world, but it was pretty enjoyable to watch for the most part. Then I watched Anatomy of a Fall, where I was thinking, cool, this is a 2.5-hour movie, so it's going to be long. And I was like, they gave you this collection in the library where it's like, look, it's a Christian collection. 2 discs and a pamphlet. Ooh. And here's the thing. It didn't give me the option of subtitle. And I said, okay, that's cool, because this woman's German, her husband is French or whatever it is. And they're talking in English as a language that's a fair ground between the two. But then when everyone else is speaking French, they have subtitles. And no offense, when a movie is 2 hours, it's long. But when it's 2.5 hours, it's way too long of a movie, like way too long. For me to comprehend what's going on, it's just dragging on and on. And the point of the movie is this, like, her husband falls to his death from a window, and they don't know if it was an accident because he was working on construction, whatever. The two of them had a fight, blah, 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 blah. And she's put on trial. The whole movie is her being put on trial. So, because they're dissecting how this guy fell. So not a great movie, way too long. And then it was a few more days to a week until I watched something. Then I watched the movie Ezra with Bobby Cannavale. This kid, William A. Fitzgerald, was great. Robert De Niro was in this movie. Rainn Wilson, Whoopi Goldberg, Vera Farmiga, Rose Byrne. I'm surprised how good of a cast this movie got, and it was barely an hour and 40 minutes. So, Bobby Cannavale, who I know from his days on Third Watch, but he's now been in plenty of big-time movies, is a comedian who's, struggling through a recent stretch of not getting writing gigs or acting gigs, whatever it is, because he used to work somewhere and things don't work out. Whoopi Goldberg plays his agent. And he's also struggling with the fact that he's going through a divorce. His kid is, autistic, and he's being kicked out of schools, and they got to deal with it because apparently an autistic kid can get bullied and picked on, but they don't kick the kids who are bullying them out, but they can't hit their kid out. I've been through this thing in my life. Oh, it's your fault your kid is getting into trouble and getting into fights. No, it's the jerks bullying kids who are different. That's besides the point. And his name is Ezra. That's why it was called Ezra. And Robert De Niro plays Bobby Cannavale's father, who's apparently this amazing chef, but has an anger issue, so he's a doorman. Rose Byrne is the ex-wife, and Rainn Wilson's the friend. And so the whole point of this movie is he doesn't like the decisions that are being forced upon him between the schools and the doctor. So he takes upon himself to take his son on a road trip, and he does comedy on the way, visited his friend Rainn Wilson, who's also apparently playing a comedian, all the way to L.A. as he's going to be on the Kimmel Show. So it's a very uplifting story, like a father-son story, defying odds, just trying to say, I want my kid to be in this school with normal kids because I want him to know he's normal. I don't need to have him in a special school where they're going to keep reminding him he's different. I like that message. I thought it was a good father-son movie, a good father-son, the next generation and grandfather situation. And, Robert De Niro, man, first playing Sebastian Montesano's father in a comedy, and then playing Bobby Cannavale's father in a drama. Really good. I was surprised how good this movie was. I enjoyed it very much. Then, like I didn't do the first time, I watched 1 and 2 parts in crisis Justly Christ Infinite Earths Part 1 and 2. This was Part 3. And on this cover, like, I recognize pretty much every character except for this one woman who's, like, from, I guess, like, another Earth, like, in the past. And they basically, if you remember, a few years back when, like, Darkseid destroyed the world and most characters were killed, Constantine and Flash restarted the universe, and now we're like, yep, we're not going to do any more continuity. That's over for the DC animated universe. And you have yourself, like, Justice League movies, Justice Society movies, you have Flash, Wonder Woman, you have those Superman movies, you have the Batman Long Halloween movies. You have all these separate movies that apparently have, like, nothing to do with each other. So, but apparently they try to trot back in, and it's explained how the multiverse is happening and why the Anti-Monitor exists. Supergirl is trying to save the day after she destroyed the Monitor in the second film. Whatever universes are still left and whatever superheroes are left from alternate dimensions, they're all working together to save each other, which I thought was pretty good. They're working together. Even Lex Luthor, Martian Manhunter, you name it, like everyone. And if you could, like, pause every scene every time they showed heroes before they were destroyed, you'd be like, I know that character from that comic book or that cartoon or that movie. And it was, like, very well represented for the characters. Again, they have the people that are, like, the smart people making the smart decisions. You got the people on the ground floor doing the work. And they took this opportunity to show, like, Teen Titans, Super Friends, Batman the Animated Series. So they're a really nice tribute to Kevin Conroy, him and Mark Hamill in a scene. You know, because, again, it's different dimensions, different universes. And I thought they did a very good job of wrapping this up with the characters and bringing it back to Flash and John Constantine where it all began. Not to spoil, but it was a very good movie. And, again, the voice cast that they've settled on a lot of these actors have been very, very good. One question is, when the movie was over, the question is, like, I don't like this whole resolution. So they don't show him going into the universe, so I'm going to wonder if there's no question in any more animated superhero movies going forward, if you want to make continuity. And we all know Constantine is always thinks he's destined to go to hell. So, interesting movie. This one, because usually the DC animated movies are like an hour and 20 minutes. This was close to an hour and 30. But I really liked it. It was a good way to wrap the movie up. I think maybe if you watch all three at once, it'll probably be a better viewing of it. But can't wait to see the next animated DC movie. Then I watched Haul Out the Holly Lit Up, whatever it's called, you know. Haul Out the Holly. So apparently there's this Evergreen Lane where they have these rules of how to celebrate Christmas. There's a code. You got to follow it. Everyone's obsessed with Christmas, and they have a Christmas festival and carnival. All of these things, and the likes of Lacey Chabert and her boyfriend, who's like the head of the commission, and her parent, who the father I've seen in a lot of TV shows playing like lawyers or doctors, and Melissa Peterman from Reba, and now in Happy's Place is one of the neighbors, and Stephen Tobolowsky, who's been in so many TV shows and movies, he's in this movie. Penny Perry, Jenny Buster, there's a lot. Jennifer Aspin, Seth Morris, Ellen Travolta, Wes Brown. So between the neighbors and the fact that, like, you get these reality Christmas stars come in and they want to change up the whole thing. It's all about them and how they do things. And that's when Lacey Chabert and her boyfriend gets into a war with the other one over Christmas. And they call her, as I said, her father in. And the funny thing, the father and this reality TV star are both character actors that I've seen in countless movies and TV shows, but I couldn't give you their name. I just recognized their face. Same thing with her fiance. It's funny that I recognize Melissa Peterman and Stephen Tobolowsky more because I physically have seen him in more recent things and bigger projects. But again, it was a typical Hallmark Christmas movie, barely an hour and 20 minutes with abrupt cuts to commercial break, very cliche with engagement in the end, blah, blah, blah. So it's basically what you advertise for is what you got. And to watch a quick movie, that's exactly what it was. Then I watched Whitebird, a Wonder Story. It says, from the best-selling author Wonder, that it's about a moment to choose kindness. It's the next chapter called Whitebird. So struggling to fit in his new school, this kid is expelled for terrible treatment of a kid, so he's just still trying to figure in. And his grandmother shows him a compassionate story about what happened to her during France during the Holocaust. And it's like an hour and 55-minute movie. Scully from X-Files is in this movie, and of course Helen Mirren is playing the grandmother, but there's the young people version. And I liked it. I thought it was a very good movie because I'm a sucker for movies about Jewish people, but also about the Holocaust, showing that you didn't have to agree with the Nazis, but you also didn't have to be undecisive about it. That it takes upon themselves a poor family takes the little girl in, and then you think there's Nazi sympathizers in this movie, but there's also people that took in the rabbi and all the people, and it was very nice. And then I liked it that the movie was about this family trying to live in France, and they said they thought they'd be safe. And then, of course, the French are famous for just letting people come in, and the movie's about the inspirational story of being kind to other people. That even though she wasn't the nicest to this kid in the movie, this kid and his family took care of this girl no matter what, and that she was able to finally reunite with her parent and have a life. So it was a very good inspirational movie about kindness. And this is the type of movie that they probably should be showing all over the place ever since the moments of October 7th. Where just because we're Jewish doesn't mean that we have to agree with the politics sometimes of Israel, even though it's our homeland, our state, that the anti-Semitism in America and around the world, we shouldn't be judged for what the Israeli government does. We are citizens of America, Canada, Asia, Europe, Australia. Like, we are just Jewish. That's our culture, that's the ethnicity, our religion, but we are citizens of different countries. And that if you remember the Holocaust, it didn't matter what color you were. If you're Jewish, and black people and gypsies and disabled people, a lot of people were persecuted and wiped out during the Holocaust, and it didn't matter what country you were from. So I think it was a very good movie. So I think overall the best movie I actually watched was Ezra. I think the Bobby Cannavale, Robert De Niro movie about a comedian and his son and trying to take care of his autistic son, that I think was the best movie I watched. Wiper was a pretty inspirational movie about kindness with Helen Mirren and Gillian Anderson. But obviously, I'm a sucker for DC animated universe movies, and this was the trilogy, so it ended it. So those are probably the three best movies I watched: Ezra, Wiper, and Justice League. So pretty much those three. And I would say Boy Kills World was probably the fourth because it was interesting. It was weird, and it wasn't the most well-written movie, but it was good. I would say only if you're obsessed with Christmas movies, watch the Haul Out the Holly Lit Up movie and just destroy the autonomy of a fall. Like, erase all the copies ever made. Thanks again for listening to another edition of Movie Review Observation number 228. For On the Radar Tape Block, I'm Radar. See you guys next time.